time to drop.
Welcome back to the Hennisphere for another roller coaster ranking from Six Flags Over Texas. Today is New Texas Giant, and I'm sure this is probably a favorite for a lot of people at this park. This or the next one that I'm going to rank, Titan. This is a very special roller coaster. It opened in 2011. It was the original Rocky Mountain Construction hybrid roller coaster. It took somewhat of a legendary roller coaster and cemented its legacy forever. New Texas Giant, in my opinion, is a very, very, very underrated roller coaster, kind of like Titan is, but we'll get to that one next. For New Texas Giant, I have been on this twice. I know I rode it in the back, and not sure where I rode it the first time, but the second time was in the back row. And honestly, I draw a lot of comparisons between this and Iron Rattler. Not just because it's the same manufacturer, but because a lot of elements on the roller coasters feel kind of similar. Let's start off with the enthusiast categories to see where exactly this one stacks up against Iron Rattler. The height, we have a height of 153 feet. That's pretty good. It's above average, so 6 out of 10. The speed, 65 miles an hour. It's definitely not slow. Above average, so 6 out of 10. The drops, that first drop, while it's not as steep as Iron Rattler, it still feels incredible in the back row. You get whipped over, you get some ejector airtime going down that. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. G-forces, on this one, this is where people say it lacks. They say that it's just not that intense of a ride. I don't feel that way. I think the main criticism you could draw is that the layout kind of loses its aggressiveness towards the end. It kind of slows down and just has some bunny hills. That's the only criticism I would have of this ride, but for G-forces, it's okay. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Lastly, wow factor. It's an RMC. A lot of people say that this is their favorite manufacturer. This one was the first of its kind, and it's a very, very, very solid ride. Going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's exciting. Every time you see this thing, you're going to want to ride it again. Adding all these up, you get 33 out of 50. That's middle of the pack. For general public category scores, we'll start with theming. The whole ride itself doesn't have that thorough of a theme. You've got the coaster trains that look like Cadillacs with the horns on the front and whatnot. There is a oil derrick in the middle of the layout, along with a truck. Kind of oil and gas theme there. That's very, very, very loose theming, but in the station there's very good theming where you have like toolboxes all over the place. It looks like a garage. So that part is pretty well done. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. The restraints, we've got great restraints on this. These are the Gerstlauer restraints, if I'm not mistaken, just like Iron Rattler. I really, really love these. They do have a little bit of a ankle guard at the bottom, but it's not the same as the ones you'll find on Steel Vengeance. Those restraints I'm not a huge fan of. So these get an 8 out of 10. The layout. The layout is more of like a twister roller coaster rather than a out and back. It's kind of like a triangle, very similar to Mean Streak and very similar to what this ride was before, except it's shorter. I'm going to give the layout a pretty good score because I like it. It's bigger than most. 8 out of 10. The length, just going off of what I just said, it's a long ride. 4,200 feet of track is very good. 8 out of 10. Lastly is the smoothness. It's an RMC iBox. It's not a topper track. These things are wicked smooth. Almost creepy how smooth they are because you get so much airtime on these things. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Adding those 5 categories up, you get 38 out of 50. That's pretty good. That's higher than average. Add this to the 33 from earlier, and you get 71 out of 100. That's very good. That's towards the top of the pack. But it falls behind Iron Rattler by 5 points. And honestly, I think that's where it should be. It's actually 1 point higher than Superman Krypton Coaster, which again, that's kind of where I think this should be. Check back next time for Titan Ranked. Thank you so much. That was another day in the Hennisphere.